first live stream. Artist SEAK Claus Winkler, being live on the internet on YouTube. Okay. So I'm talking about my art. Yes, my first live stream. I did lots of television interviews in the 90s and beginning 2000s, so this should be okay. Also live on the television. Okay. My intention today is to talk about my art. Okay. How I came to my style. I've written a lot of texts about how my painting style, this is like work in progress, my small a, like mirror reverse. So it's part of from my letter style SEAK, SE written in large, A written in large, and the K written in large. There's also, of course, SEAK. Usually I paint the letters abstracted small, in most cases. The middle letters and the last letter. My inspiration, I took inspiration from everything I liked when being a child, in my teens, and young adult, and nowadays. Like, for example, I integrated everything from my tradition, from my personal tradition. So I played, in my teens, I played lots of computer games. I had an Amiga 500, that was the graphic game computer. I talked to my parents that I needed it for whatever, but in truth it was a game computer. And I swapped lots of computer games, cracked and copied, and I also bought a few. So those aesthetics were influencing me. I like this like pixel, like upgraded 90s pixel aesthetic from the arcade games. The science fiction aesthetic, flying with R-type from left to right on the screen, getting extra weapons, getting more structure, and it looks better and better, and then you have to fly around, and this is like, in a way, you're becoming one with this little spaceship. So that is one reason why my style looks, how I paint looks like that. But maybe like trying to connect, become one with that object, that aesthetic. Also, what I liked when I played computer games was all this, like, it was like basically like a moving abstract painting. If I could, I would have made digital collages from that, but I was never a programmer. I mean, even when you're a programmer, you have to someone has to also design the computer games. So painting that it was the closest for me to get there. Obviously, in the beginning, my style didn't look that good. So I had always, like, in my mind, the computer games from the 90s, and from this ideal aesthetics, this original meter, like the meter in Paris, which I was trying to achieve, which was like the high level. And in my mind, I made myself in my work bigger and better than it actually was. But I also had very early, in 94, I painted, for example, a wall painting, it was in 95, 94, in Trier at the X-House, a concrete wall on the backside of a swimming pool, public swimming bath. I think I called it Deep Sea 9. It was a green Sikh style with gold or yellow A, with the gold and yellow A in an underwater world. And that already had this, I called it the Frucht effect, Sikh fruit effect. This like very high pixel, dark to light, or dark to medium to light color shadings, where anyone else in my peer group were using 3 colors or 2 colors to make a 3D effect. I used 4 or 5 colors. Also, when I painted illegally trains, not much, just a few. In total, with silver paintings, maybe 60 trains, 70 trains, nothing in compared to what other artists are doing. I also went in with, I think it was my hand light from my time in the army when I was serving my my military service, being a citizen. And I had this like army lamp with like red lights and stuff. So I had like marked the spray cans with the dark to light just by the shades. So I could do like really nice in dark 3D effects. So this like dark contrast, great contrast aesthetic was, which I painted in my 20s. The foundation for that was when I was like 14 or 15, 16, with this Amiga time I had, which was very intense. I had a cracking group. I was copying and swapping, and we had like own boot block intros, which we exchanged boot blocks from the others, which is not, it's just, you know, not really real, but you know, anyway, never we cracked anything ourselves. I could elaborate more on that. And anyways, so there was like this Amiga computer influence. I had also influences in military history. Since a child, I was interested in German military, in history, or military, in military overall, in German military, in German history, in history, or in everything maritime and navy and all that, and sailing. So basically when I was in school, and I was in the Realschule, it's like some high school, so it's not, you can't study with the Realschulabschluss. So I could have done the history classes for the teacher. I mean, probably better, or even because I was so much into history that and all that stuff. So that my parents were already like, oh, they were like, he's like, they were like had sorrows. Me being so interested in that. So this aesthetic, the military aesthetic, soldier aesthetics, from awards, from uniforms, from weapons, all this was going into that, especially. It was very appealing also to me, like German tanks in general. You know, you grew up with that, like from Matchbox cars. You have like this aesthetic view. Okay, there's like fire truck from Matchbox, but then you see the MAN airport, civilian airport fire truck, and you see it's much more stylized, much more cooler. You get like there's like a hierarchy in quality and aesthetics. So that yeah, it was going, and there's like different variations from something, you know, like they have like, okay, there's like 4 or 5 variations of a certain car or a certain tank or a certain prototype or automobile direction, and that aesthetic primed me also for painting letters or abstracting letters. Probably no one can read those letters. This is a K, and the other direction is, this is like, because I'm filming myself with the phone, and stuff like that. This is like the my form, what I see, but you see probably something totally different. And in the end, my subconscious has like already in mind how it could look, and or has like a toolbox of design elements I would put in, and then in the end, it's technically a letter K or the letter A, or I don't know what that is, like a small E on the other direction, but it also is something else. And the question is, what is it more? Is it that, or is it this? Yeah, so of course, I can call a painting and the message of a painting later different, but something at the door. Okay, fuck it. Then okay, I have okay. I have to explain it different. Okay, I have this computer boot block intros, you know, like this aesthetic from the 90s. World War II, World War One, maybe also German military aesthetics or aesthetics in total. Um, Inspirations. Uniforms from the Prussians, from the cabinet wars. Anything a male likes. Also, the spray can has a round shape, and I had this philosophy, painting, like using my disadvantage to my advantage. And in my teens, I watched a movie from Bruce Lee. It was called The Drunken Master, and he was always this person, or the main character was always drunk, so he made that his style. And I thought, I can't do any lines, I don't have this like handwriting, because I didn't start it in 83 or something with spray cans. I started a little bit later. So I said, okay, I make anything, my disadvantage I make to my advantage. I also probably was primed from my interest in history, you know, like the Viet Cong, how the Viet Cong was defeating the Americans. So yeah, I made this round style, my style, and in a time where everyone else was painting sharp and with 3D effects and was trying, you know, I was, and everyone was like trying to probably hide shame or hide certain forms. I was playing with those round shapes, and I made them. They have a like an I will have to be PC language here. I don't know how far I can go on YouTube. This has to be. It looks like play toys, adult people, consenting adult people are using to pleasure themselves and others, blah blah blah. So, or what Mama has under the bed, you know, as a little big message tool, you know, those kind of things. So I was playing with that and playing with taboos. Maybe because I was also resonating on that with my name, SEAK, also Claus Winkler or SEAK Claus Winkler. It has this like, oh, Claus Winkler, like I'm trying to hide something, but here, sneaky, sneaky, you can find it out, you know, like sneaky link, you know, like this term which came up. It has like the, it's almost like they founded the name. It lays over like SEAK Claus Winkler. No? It's like my name resonates on that frequency, not because, maybe because also of on my choosing, but also because people are interpreting or connecting with that. It also can be the total different, you know, a person is loyal and serial monogamy, like with certain animals, you know, but when you have a name like Klaus, which means also stealing or just taking, or, you know, you see a lot, sometimes just connotations or nuances which tell you everything. So so this is like some kind of like honesty and being open about this texture thing. It's like a brand thing. And if I paint in public a wall painting, for example, and I paint sharp edges, people subconsciously pace the energy they see or the paintings or the visuals they see, and then they act on it. So I feel sometimes a social, say that I'm sounding super weak and super beta, but maybe it's maturity, a social responsibility, because we reap what we saw, and people are usually just used to advertisement, and when you come with art in public places, people they interpret what they see and then act on it. And with round shapes, people are maybe a little bit more softer, you know, taking the edges out and less aggressive, which can be good for social interaction. On the other hand, it's maybe bad because men are not men anymore, and women are trying to become men, and men are like dysfunctional women and all that stuff. But this is another thing. I could probably lots of these videos explaining my work and how my work influenced society, or and people are, you know, everyone has an influence. It doesn't matter how bad or good people are positioned in the art market, or how often are they in newspapers. So we are all like feeding the universe with our energies, or the public. Okay, about my style. Basically, I'm bundling anything I'm as being a guy I like. I'm not separating, which is contradicting sexual, I don't say the S word, intimate structures, or certain lifestyles, kink, fetish, LG, blah, 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 alphabet people, binary people, people who want to have children and continuing their blood lineage, etc., etc. I want to have offspring. I'm combining all that in my art, and you have to see for yourself, is my art like a warning, like this could happen, which is traditionally a painting is since the Egyptians. It's like a prophecy or warning, not so much. I don't know if it's a vision board, because a vision board usually you put up things which should then happen, or it's like a bundle of all these things. Me being a guy I like without judging it. Also, it's contradicting in the same painting. I'm going by aesthetics. Also, I'm not caring about politics in my art, because the people, or political correctness. I also found that people from all different social agendas or political parties are inspired by my work, consciously or unconsciously inspired, and that's out of my control. People from the left, people from the right, the middle, everyone. I'm not wanting to brag here about politicians, from federal politicians or local politicians I had contact with, or like when they were connecting with me, or how they're copying what I'm doing, because they all look for inspiration and don't have it, and maybe people feel like in my name or when they see my work, they get inspiration for how they should reach their goals, power, control, or leading a country or leading people. It's funny, because when I'm talking about that, I shouldn't blow too much my own horn here, because it makes me sound look like this or like that. So I stick to my work, and what I'm painting, and how it's perceived, or how less it's perceived, how much it's perceived. Yeah. It's like window shopping. I see really cool. When I was a kid, I saw all these like comic books in shops, toys, models, scale models, book, anything in a toy shop, and you can't have it all, or you can have a little bit, or and I painted it myself basically, and I connect with it in the same way you would connect when your parents or yourself bought it, which is interesting. So it's like maybe I'm inspired by my mother, or we all inspired by our forefathers and our parents in one way or the other. And it's like my mother said always, like after the war, like they don't have anything, we don't have anything, and it was like they were like happy with nothing, with like a wooden from wooden pearls or something, or like something like that. Was like if you would get a power book, or like the newest iPhone or something like that. So I had this, maybe I had like an underdog attitude in a way, and painting me this stuff, and I was confident enough to take inspiration by things I liked, and didn't give a damn about what other people said. I mean, in a way you do, because you want to impress others, but it's also, you have to do your own thing. And yeah, and I did that. And I had also the reputation years before, when I was in, how they call it in Germany, Grundschule. It's like when you're like, I don't know, like after the kindergarten, before you go to high school, you have like Grundschule, it's middle school and before middle school. And I was like, oh, Klaus is always doing things different. He's different than others. He has problems to connect with people, blah, 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 or this and that. So nowadays, about school systems and how biased teachers are, I know I did everything right. But back in the days, I was always like the black sheep, not the black sheep of the family, because I'm the only. I don't have any brothers. I don't have any siblings. But it's like, oh no, it's different, blah blah blah. So but basically, I did it right, and yeah. And I was never the most talented one. There was always I had a friend who was like much more talented in drawing and sketching and everything. But that kept me driven because I was never satisfied with my work. I always knew he was better, yeah, I kept going through. Yes. It's now 20 minutes. I can keep on talking. Yeah. Okay. I have no script, nothing's freestyle, and maybe I should do the next time freestyle in another environment. Anyways, so what else should I say about my style, my way, or my art? How do I see my art? Never satisfied, rarely satisfied, unhappy with what I'm painting. This is also something to do with because I'm painting this rotation system. Sometimes I get a request for a painting, an Auftrag, or like a commissioned work, however you want to call it. And then I'm painting one piece at the time, usually to a few similar ones the last time I did that, to stay loose, stay non-outcome dependent, because I can variate, because sometimes you paint in a direction, I say, oh, I could also now go in that direction. It's a shame not doing it, but you make the decision, so it's good to have also sister paintings which grow with it to a certain degree, and then you say, fuck it, I'm just concentrating on that painting. So that's the, I'm painting in rotation, so sometimes there's still like one painting ready and then it's finished and then it's sold because the person gave me the money up front. And then I'm like, oh, mad, I'm like, oh, fuck, I should have taken more money for that because it looks too good. And I realized I reached a plateau, so I said, okay, next time, much higher price. I don't have to sell it, I can live with less. I learned like this, you know, the Greek philosopher, was it Socrates, who was sitting in the barrel, and it's like, yeah, just go out of the sun, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, what should I eat more from the food? I can only consume something like audiobooks or like listening to a YouTube video while painting. That's it. Life is pretty simple, yeah, that makes it pretty free. Obviously, I want kids also at some point. Yeah, okay, then I would have to make more money, but I can handle that. So, yeah, so I'm really satisfied with the paintings. Usually, when I paint a painting and it's finished, I'm usually satisfied, and I'm painting till that point where I'm like, wow, best feeling in the world, like get goosebumps, and till I have to realize I really have reached this plateau, this higher plateau. Yeah, and burnt myself. It's like a burner. It's not burning in negative. A burner is like when you have reached a higher plateau and you top basically yourself with your work. It seems like since 2010-ish, I started painting also the back sides from the paintings. Before that, I was also signing the paintings on the back sides. But over the years, from 2010 on, it grown into that both sides are equal painted. And I can't really say which side then is in the end is better, or more complicated painted, or detailed, or whatever you want to call it. And the paintings are steady growing, and in the beginning I was really depressed, 2010, 2009, also because from 2009, 2010 I had like 1 year like a very intense party phase where I said, okay, in my financial means, which were very, very limited, I said I'm getting a glimpse on these challenges, consuming challenges wealthy people have, and interpreting that. I didn't do anything which German soldiers in World War II didn't do there when they were flying there over to England or doing the Blitz in their tanks. I don't want to go more into details here. Anyways, And then the depression, I was very painting a lot, like every day 10, 12 hours, no private life. Just on the weekends I was hiking in the Eifel mountains. Um, and my paintings were growing. I was painting one work step with each painting most of the times, which is very, very unsatisfying because you realize everything looks kind of shitty and it's like really raw and in the beginning, and the colors are, back then I didn't know so much consciously about colors. So the colors were also putting me down, and I was feeling everything without knowing, this feeling comes from this, interesting. You learn that. Um, I painted also lots of studio work before, but not that intensely, just studio work. Uh, my first canvas I painted in the mid-90s, something like that. Um, Over the years from 2010 on, the works were growing, the paintings, paper pieces, works on canvases, the backsides on canvases. And now we have 2023, this layers, more details, more nuances, different techniques. My intention was collecting different techniques, different aesthetics, different grades from complexity or from quality, like making a disadvantage, me being not able to paint really having a nice flow with a chalk pen or with a chalk pen or with something, making that okay, it's good, gives the painting a certain nuance, and then later and had different layers, so it has different taste buds, different aesthetics, different textures, and it's original, so I can't copy myself, like most artists you see in the art market, that stuff is painted from like big studios. They have lots of assistants and master artists working for them, and then they're flying in other artists to hold lectures for portraits, and then they also painting things there. And I'm doing everything myself. So I said, okay, let's make that my thing. And because I get also advice to not to talk about that. I should focus more on my work, not on that part that I'm painting works myself. So. I have collected in my paintings different aesthetics, different styles, different medias, how I painted it, like spray paint, brush, marker, ball pen, fine liner, acrylics, oils. Okay, then you have to paint around the oil later because you can't paint over oil, which also has some kind of charisma because you have to think. Not like, I'm designing a cool sports car, I'm designing a bulky truck or functional vehicle, which personally I'm attracted to. In kindergarten, like everyone wanted to have like the tiger and the Porsche, tiger, the animal, and because I was in the room, they were feeling my name, Klaus, and Klaus means steal or take away, and took it away from me or from someone else. I was like, okay, well, fuck it, then I paint with the truck, and I was talking about German tanks and the best German tanks. We were like, there's the Tiger and the Tiger 2 and the, I don't know, Panther, but I think Jagdpanther, yeah, and stuff like that, on the Leopard in Germany, and then it was like this bulky, functional, masculine aesthetic, which was much more cooler, or not cooler, but I was attracted, being a man, more from that. My work, I said so the O, you can go in any direction. You're not bounded in an unhelpful way in a relationship. Everyone is free, but you don't have a direction. And then you are with the anklet, with when a wife or when a girlfriend or a wife is not is promiscuous, and it's like nowadays everyone has Instagram, and no one is promiscuous. No one is not promiscuous. So I think the name SEAK Claus Winkler suggests also, hey, nobody owns anyone. Nobody. It's not your turn. It's not your. She's never yours. Just your turn. Or the better frame is, she's never yours. It's just her turn, because the man is the prize. the man is the quality, because there's very rare good quality men. So the women want the high quality male, and they have lots of variation, but there's very few very good men. So my work gives a certain freedom, and if you are being a guy clingy, you already lost the women. Don't have to talk about that. You can watch lots of good quality Red Pill or videos on that. And the point is, that goes in both directions, and it forces the male to do his thing and work on himself. And I think my art remembers people on that. And the question is, what does my art people inspire to or prime to? Or why do people want to buy my art besides he's famous, or I just like his work, or he's not so famous in compared to other colleagues of him who were hyped in the art market and did the deal with a gallerist and with all the consequences. So this is for me also a miracle, always an interesting puzzle or a detective case to get a glimpse why people buy my work, like my art, or what it does for the people in their lives, in terms how my name, the letters in my name work and makes their life better, and their puzzle or perspective on life, also connected with the paintings. And not on that level, I just like the paintings, no, a name doesn't influence anything. I'm not talking about the BS. I'm just talking about on that not deeper level, because every marketer, every half smart 15-year-old girl who has a successful YouTube or Instagram account knows that stuff. So that's I'm trying to see it from myself from outside, which is sometimes difficult, but it keeps me interested and always thinking about letters and forms and words and how everything, and meanings from words and all that. So my art, painting every day, 12 hours. There's no difference between private life, professional life, or whatever you want to call it. So it's all one thing. Trying to do at least 3 times a week sports, working out. I have in my social surrounding a good influence, a good female friend who kicks my ass with sports and curates my weak side. There's a company you keep. If you hang out with 5 fat people, you become the 6th fat person. If you hang out with 5 healthy, fit person who are doing sports, you are the 6th person who does sports. So painting every day, fully committed. I could all my life, because I'm more educated in military history and military history basically. Also when I was a boy or a child, most of my decisions or narratives, why I did this or that, are based on that. With military, I also mean like the buccaneers or the maritime sailing age. And I never did an education like an apprenticeship. I mean, I started 2 times, one as a bookseller and 1 time as an electrician, very complicated electronical, for craft power plants, but I didn't finish it. For me, I was referring in my early beginning 20s, like this example from the buccaneers who were entering a Spanish gold galleon, like 20 to 100, 20 buccaneers and little pinasses, and then a Spanish galley with 100 sea soldiers, hacking a hole in their own boat. Okay, we have now 10, 20 minutes, then we are on board on the other ship. Otherwise, you have to win because there's no other ship. So this is my attitude. This is basically Robert Greene. I'm someone I'm following since the beginning 2000s and always sharing his work. said it, fighting on deaf ground, you know, and I have this deaf ground also in my name. The EA from SEAK, you can say it's deaf ground, also deaf, dead ground. Yes, yeah, just probably, I guess I will make much more from these videos, explaining my work. I painted all around the world, in America, exhibited in Canada in the Ontario State Gallery, in Edinburgh, in England, all over Europe, White Rush, Belarus, Italy, Spain, yeah, all over Europe, I said it, Hong Kong, Shenzhen mainland, Australia, New Zealand. I guess I will do much more videos like this, talking. Yeah, inspired lots of people, fellow artists in the 90s all around the world. My website, I didn't have a computer, but I had a website where in the beginning 90s, mid 90s, I had a website which was well visited, mostly America, Mexico, then Germany, and then the other countries. My webmaster, my webmaster was a fellow crew member in Next CNS. My homie Christian Lindner, our current financial, was doing my emails and faxing me in the night times, 1 or 2 times a week or every 2 weeks, the emails from all around the world with calls here. So I have to interrupt this now, and later on I will do continue the interview talking about my work. I wish you all an interesting day.